Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a new podcast. This is actually a new series we're doing, where we're going to have a focus on young professionals that are shaping the industry, not just production-wise, but also in leadership roles, and in their community involvement even more. So we're thrilled to start this all off with Nick Bailey from Bailey Properties, a broker associate, third generation realtor. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here, David.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to do this with us. I'd be lying if I said we it took us very long to come up with our first guest here. Your name popped up right away for us, and partly because of all that you've done in the community and in the industry in the last few years, and at a young age. And let me go through a few of your for those that don't know you, Nick, because you work in the Santa Cruz County area. But in 2024. You were a top producer across the Bailey Properties. Been that way for multiple years now. 2023 Realtor of the Year Award from the Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors. You hold two different leadership positions, I believe, now. This year, nominated for the 2026, President-elect of Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors. Named by Inman, one of the 2025 Future Leaders in Real Estate. Fantastic. And the 2025 chair of the California Association of Realtors Young Professional Network Leadership Council after serving as the vice chair in 2024. I gotta tell you, I feel like a slacker here after reading all that. Uh,
Well, I appreciate you reminding me of those positions. I'm gonna have to bring you to my next listing presentation
that's,
and help you rattle those off for me.
that's
So
right. I'll take
yeah,
you. Yeah, take me along.
yep,
Impressive stuff, and thanks again for coming on. Let's go and just starting off, just talk about a little about the Young Professional Network that you're now the chair of for CAR. Do you want to tell us a little about what that's all about, the Young Professional Network?
absolutely. So yeah, so I'm the 2025 chair of the California Association of Realtors Young Professionals Network, and what YPN centers around is fostering the next generation of leadership within our realtor associations and in the industry as a whole. The realtor associations and the work that we do from a local, state, national level, it can be a lot to kind of dive into, right? Especially as a newer professional in our industry. And so what YPN does is it opens up those doors for newer people within the industry to kind of understand how that all flows and create those connections. And the Young Professionals Network obviously has the word young in it. It has no relation to age whatsoever. It is just mainly focused on newer professionals within our industry, regardless of age, and introducing them to the opportunities and the benefits of realtor association involvement.
Fantastic. And yeah, for new agents, it can be a daunting task, and it's good. And we'll definitely dive into a little bit more of that. But, as the chair, do you have certain goals for 2025? I know in August, for instance, you guys have a month of giving. Can you share maybe what you got on tap for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll start off with how we've approached our first couple of forums this year. So California Association of Realtors has three what they call business meetings throughout the year, and we've completed two of those, and we'll have our final one coming up this fall. And the first forum that we did centered around association involvement and business success, right? And our reasoning there and that subject matter is that sometimes there are newer professionals in our industry that feel that if they do get involved in giving back to the industry and that advocating for private property rights and home ownership, that it's going to take away from their business. And so we wanted to kind of peel the blinders back on that and show people that are very successful, either individual agents, team leaders, brokers within their industry, or within the industry, and in our producing agents, but are also very involved in giving back to our industry as a whole. And So that was the focus of our winter forum. Our spring forum, which just happened last month in May in Sacramento, centered around the advocacy portion of what the realtor associations do, and kind of breaking down, some of the nuances of that, because that can be confusing in itself, right? What we do for advocating for our clients and our ability to do business as realtors. And then this upcoming fall forum in September, we're still dialing in the details of that, but it's mainly going to be centered around leadership and again, how to get involved in leadership and following that path. We're also going to have what's called YPN Ignite that we do every fall business meeting, and we have some great speakers that come in. Last year we had a couple more celebrity realtors, right, that are sort of on a reality show, things like that, that talked about, kind of balancing, that part of their life with also being a successful realtor. So that's been kind of the nucleus of what we've been covering this year and some of our plans going into the fall.
Fantastic. And Nick, I mentioned you're a third generation realtor, right? And your father and your uncle, kind of legends in this industry. What inspired you to get into real estate? And how did you kind of get started? Was it the family influence, or was it, obviously you're very involved in the community.
Yeah, that's a great question. It had nothing to do with family influence, and that's a question I get all the time, right?
Mhm.
Did you want to always be a realtor? Well, the answer is no. My father said from an early age, absolutely no expectation whatsoever to get into the family business. He obviously worked with my grandfather, as did my
Right.
uncle, so they kind of followed in my grandfather's footsteps, but there was never an expectation there. What inspired me to get into real estate, I graduated from college at the University of Oregon and had planned on getting into sort of the tech sales industry. I had a lot of friends doing that.
Yeah.
My sister at the time worked for Apple in a similar role in San Francisco, and that was the path that I was really interested in heading towards. And upon graduating from college, I decided to get my real estate license just to have. I thought it'd be good thing to have for the future if I decided to go that route. And in the midst of interviewing for various tech companies in the Bay Area and so forth, I came across my first listing, and I felt a lot of passion for helping my home seller client get that property sold. And I really connected with it. I love the process. I love being able to make a difference in my client's life. And that was something that I didn't feel that I was necessarily getting from some of the tech positions that I was looking at. And so that's what led me into getting into the industry. And I'm thrilled that I did at the age that I did. It was certainly not easy to um, be 23, 24, starting to sell houses. I mean, none of my friends in the community were certainly ready to buy a house at that point. And I was a lot younger than a lot of my colleagues here in Santa Cruz County. But I'm glad that I did at that point because I've been able to help so many clients over the years since then.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision for you. And talking about the community, is being so active in the community helped you, help your real estate business as you grow?
It absolutely has been. Yeah, it's from charities and just being really well connected with so many people within the Santa Cruz County community. It's definitely helped my business, right? And that's part of the reason I'm so passionate about it is that I feel that what I do for my profession can really make a difference in people's lives, whether it's someone that I've known since childhood, helping them buy their first house,
Right.
or helping a past high school teacher of mine sell their house and be able to move into retirement. I mean, um, it's definitely helped my business, and it's definitely what leads me to be so passionate about it is making a difference in the community.
Right. You've said I was watching. You said actually, I think I was watching one of your. It was a podcast or something along those lines. But you mentioned the importance of expanding, and growing your business while maintaining your soul slash maybe mission. How do
Yes.
you balance growing your business with giving back to the community as you do?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's definitely a balance. What I try to focus on is having a really good routine. Now, I just had my son or my wife and I's first baby born. Uh,
Congratulations!
Thank you. Actually, a month ago today,
Wow.
and so that's shifted that whole routine. But I'm very routine based and making sure my days are structured in a certain way, my weeks are structured in a certain way. And by having that routine and that structure, it allows me to adequately balance obviously my workload as a realtor with my involvement in the community and involvement in the real estate industry.
Yeah, family, business, community. So that is a lot to juggle,
Yep.
especially for a young man. To pivot a little bit, but we did just recently a podcast with our vice president who's just retiring, Larry Knapp. And he's done it was 56 years in the industry. And
Wow.
we were talking about, technology, how it's changed. And, back then he was saying how the book, we all know the book they used to use. How that was a major change in the industry for technology wise. For you as a young agent, is there anything that you use like in terms of how important is social media in your real estate strategy, and what kind of content do you think works best for you?
Absolutely. Social media is huge. I talk to a lot of newer associates within our company and the newer members of our Realtor Association, and I talk about the relationships at the center of our business, right? And then I look at it from everything else, kind of like spokes on a wheel, where you have the social media. I'm very on top of doing print marketing as well. So postcards. I do a lot of newspaper advertising, and the reason I do those is because the print advertising definitely caters more towards potential home seller clients, just based off of generational differences, and then the social media marketing more so of my first time homebuyer clients. And I try to kind of connect all of that and overlay it, on top of the core of it, which is the relationship. And so I lean into a lot of additional tools as well. Obviously, everything that MLS Listings has for us as realtors, and all the various tools. I mean, the Aculus disclosures, the aligned showings, all those various tools are things that I lean into as well, in order to keep my business flowing and making sure that it's very easy for me to exceed my clients' expectations through that.
Right. To go back to kind of the YPN, the Young, Professional Network, and the things you guys do. I know you guys do a lot of meetings and kind of get-togethers, and resiliency for agents. You mentioned how when you first started out, right, a 24-year-old. For new agents, we always say every day you're unemployed, right, until you get that new opportunity for a lot of
Yep.
agents. How important was it for you to be around, other young agents in the same position, trying to grow your business, kind of to get that mentorship, and know that you're not the only one in the same kind of boat, right? Um,
Oh, the importance of that is undeniable. I mean, I've said this quite a few times when talking about the Young Professionals Network. It's truly a family in the
mm,
sense that uh, we support one another. Everyone that's involved in that is very supportive of each other's business, whether it's businesses or industry involvement and things like that. And so um, to be able to have that connectivity and the support of colleagues that are in that same boat, right, where they're newer in the industry, and have a shoulder to kind of lean on when things are tough, because things can be tough, especially as you're starting your business out, and early on in your career. It's something that's just incredibly important, and that's what I've enjoyed so much about um, being involved with the California Association of Realtors, YPN, is that um, our advisory board is from people from all over the state, with all types of business structures and backgrounds and so forth. And the one connecting piece there is, a passion for what we do, and getting involved in the real estate industry. But also there's so much support that goes around, and appreciation of one another.
Awesome. Yeah, and you were in that role where you were looking to others kind of to get mentorship and now you're the one they're looking to, right? A lot of times,
Yep,
because you're being in
exactly.
that leadership position, right?
Right,
Nick, it's a competitive industry, obviously, right? But how important is it for realtors to actually, work together? I think, we saw that, I was actually at my first legislative day this year, and I think there was what 2,200 realtors there, and I know you were there, and I think the YPN group you were there with, it really kind of saw the influence of what working together is so important, right?
right.
For our industry.
No, I mean, to be able to work together in such a competitive industry is so important to your success. And I talk about this with a lot of newer realtors, in the sense that, especially in a market like Santa Cruz County, or other parts of the Bay Area, um, you are going to run into your colleagues, whether it's on the listing side, the buying side, very frequently, right? And so you need to be able to work together, even though it can feel like, a bit adversarial at times, right? Because you're negotiating for your client, they're negotiating for their client. But at the end of the day, if you're approaching it in a respectful, transparent manner, communicative, aspect of it too, that is absolutely going to help you get deals done and help your clients out, in the long run, because you have that good collaborative relationship with other people in the marketplace. So even though it's very competitive, you need to have good relationships with your colleagues, because it's all karma based. If I
Right.
were to be rude to someone when I had a listing, or be rude to a buyer's agent when I had a listing, um, I'm sure that a couple months from now that agent's going to have their own listing, and
Right.
I want them to have had a good experience with me, right? And not felt like it was challenging, or anything like that. And so that's going to help our clients get deals done. So it's in the best interest of our clients to really have that connectivity with your colleagues, even while you're negotiating for them, have that fiduciary duty, looking out for their best interests. And so even if I have a listing that has multiple offers on it, it's not always the easiest phone call to make, to call someone up and say, one of the other buyer's agents, say, hey, unfortunately, your clients didn't get it. But I feel proud in the fact that a lot of the times when I do have to have those conversations, the agents still thank me for my communication and my transparency, and making what can be uh, a very difficult process sometimes, an emotional process for our clients, making it as easy as possible.
Right. Yeah. Everybody wins, right? So,
Exactly.
cooperation. So I mentioned at the start, you've been nominated for the Santa Cruz County Association as president-elect for 2026. Is there any topics that, you think on top of your mind, kind of the future that's concerning, or you think this industry needs to tackle? We've got AI out there which is kind of poking its nose into every industry. Is there anything, if you were to, go ahead and get that role next year, that you would want to go ahead and maybe first thing kind of in terms of a priority?
Well, first I'll ask David, how long do you have for me to rattle off an answer there?
Kind of a loaded question there for
Yeah,
you,
exactly,
but
exactly. What my main goals are, and the Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors, we're going to be restructuring our strategic plan later on this year, setting up the next few years when obviously I'm going to hopefully be in that leadership position. I've been nominated, haven't officially been elected yet, but my main focus is going to be centered around involvement, right? And kind of what I touched on earlier, where we had a Young Professionals Network forum earlier this year about the ability to have business success and give back to your industry, and the importance of giving back to your industry. And it's not doesn't mean that everyone has to be involved, whether they're on a committee or applying for leadership positions or a board of directors, what have you. But what I want to encourage is uh, our membership to understand the importance of what we do for our members, and helping them be successful, and allowing our clients the best opportunities to buy and sell homes within Santa Cruz County. And so my goal there is to just uh, increase that awareness of what our association does and the value that we bring to our broader membership. Because at the end of the day, our membership is out there speaking with the community members as well, right? And then we have our clients that understand that as well. And so my goal is to really encourage more involvement, especially by those that are very active in the industry, because those are the realtors that understand that understand what the trials and tribulations that our clients are facing, right? And it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't mean everyone has to be involved, but at least appreciating what our realtor association does, and contributing, towards the advocacy efforts too, and kind of understanding that arm of it, right? Because at the core of it, we're a trade association
Right.
that is there to support our members, but there's also an advocacy piece where we are basically the Chamber of Commerce for private property rights. We look out for people's ability to buy and sell homes in Santa Cruz County, and obviously on a larger scale at the California Association of Realtors, and the national level as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said, Nick. And we were lucky enough, me and Mark, in terms of participation, and I firmly believe, yeah, getting involved in the community is good for everything, good for the business, good for the industry. We actually went out with the Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors, and I think we went to housing, and really what we just cleaned up, and helped out for the elderly, and it was extremely rewarding. I gotta tell you, it was just talking with people, and we left with such a good feeling. For those out there who want to get involved here, I think it's something to definitely to do. What
I,
advice would you give, Nick, to a new starting agent starting out today? I know you kind of answered it. Participate, get involved, right?
yeah. Well, just from a realtor starting out today, I tell a lot of our new associates and a lot of new realtor members at the Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors, uh, focus on those relationships, right?
Mhm.
If you want success in the real estate industry, focus on those relationships. Be authentic, be genuine, because when you are focusing on the people that like and trust you, you're going to be able to build a successful career in real estate. And you already said it. On top of that, I'd encourage you to get involved, because then you get to know your colleagues in the industry, right?
Mhm.
Where all of a sudden you're writing your first deal, and you're writing your first offer, and you submit an offer on a property for a client, and you will have met that listing agent potentially at one of our events. Or maybe you've served on a committee with them at the Realtor Association, and they're already going to know who you are, and they're going to say, "Well, um, I know Nick is newer in the realtor field and the real estate industry, um, but Nick seems like a good person, and I already have a little bit of that connection with them." So yeah, I go back to focus on those relationships, be yourself, be authentic, and just kind of put that good energy out to the people that you know in the community. And then also just be involved and start to get to know your colleagues.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about how we talked with, agents, whether a new agent, or agents been in the industry. One thing, and we've had changes in the industry, and one thing that doesn't change is this is a relationship, right? Industry, relationship with agents, relationship with clients, and that's the one thing that kind of doesn't change in terms of this industry, despite whether whatever's thrown at this industry, there's always finds a way to continue to thrive and go on.
Exactly. No, and that's part of the reason I'm so passionate in giving back to the industry, right? And from that advocacy side too, is because it is relationships, and these are people in the community that we care about, as our clients, and being able to be a part of uh, continuing to help them buy and sell homes through advocacy efforts and the things we do as realtors to give back to the community. That's why I'm so passionate about it, and I've enjoyed getting involved from the industry side of things on top of my sales business.
That's fantastic. And just to wrap up, Nick, for those new agents out there, or just agents that kind of listen to this and say, you know what, I want to get more involved. Where can they start? I mean, do they show up to kind of at the local YPN events, or a coffee talk kind of thing, or is there a certain site, where like a CAR should they go check out, or what would you say to kind of get involved where they should start?
Absolutely. Well, I would start with coming to from Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors, or whatever local association you're with. Show up to your broker tour meetings, right? We have them weekly here in Santa Cruz County. Get to know those realtors in the room. And from there, look at various kind of committees that are available within your local realtor association, and see what is seems of interest to you, right? And come to those association events that happen periodically throughout the year, as you mentioned, right? And just start to kind of build those relationships, and get to know your colleagues, and then follow your passion, right? You know, I a question I asked of a leader at the California Association of Realtors recently, that was presenting to our CAR Leadership Academy was, as you start to grow your leadership journey, how do you define what to say yes to and what to say no to? Because you get into a certain role, and you all of a sudden get asked to be a part of the next thing, and be a part of the next thing. And I said, how do you determine which one to do? Because at the end of the day, you can't do it all. I'm trying to do it all right now, and it's a lot, right? But uh, the answer I got there was follow your passion, right? And so look at that committee list at your local association and say, oh, am I passionate about education? Am I passionate about events? Maybe you have past experience in event planning. Am I passionate about local government? I'm our current local government relations chair at Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors, along with being the treasurer this year. And I'm very passionate about that. So I decided to go that route locally. And so really look into what drives you, and what you're passionate about, because if you're passionate about something, you're going to show up, right? And you're going to be involved in it. And it's potentially going to open more doors for you and connect you with a lot of colleagues within your area. That, as I said before, having those connections is going to help you uh, uh, get more deals done and help your clients buy and sell homes.
Nick, that's great advice. And I want to thank you so much, Nick. This has been great. Love having you here. You're always welcome. I want to wish you good luck, with the 2026 Santa Cruz Association president-elect, and also, obviously you've got a new family, little baby, so congratulations, and love to have you back on, down the line. Like I said, we're going to kind of continue this series, and if you ever have anything to update us on, you're always welcome back. But we want to say thanks for taking the time to come on today.
Absolutely. No, thank you, David. And I'm always here to support MLS listings. Again, I'm a huge advocate of what you guys do and the value that you bring to our realtor membership. So I'm very appreciative of everything you guys do. And thank you for having me on here. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And yeah, for all of you tuning in right now, keep an eye out for more content like this. So thanks again, Nick, and take care, huh?
Make sure to check out our pro support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.